Hey there. What's
Hello.
going on, Rosalind?
Hey, I'm great. I am great. How are you, Miss Monica, today?
I am good, but
Yeah.
did you know that
Mm.
a person can become a homeowner without having as much as the 20% that most people say you need in order to move into a home? There are
Mm.
different programs that are out that allow you to move into houses to purchase homes with 3% down, 5% down, and sometimes if you get a hold of these grants, you might
Uh-huh.
be able to move into a house with next to nothing down. The banks are going to want to see that you have something, right? But
Mm.
once you get down through the process, maybe you might have to pay for your appraisal, maybe you might have to pay for your homeowner's insurance. But just say, for instance, if you get a grant from one of
Mhm.
these governmental entities, and that grant, just say it's worth 25,000, and you're only required to put 5% down, that difference of
Yeah.
whatever everything else costs, you might be able to get that in the form of a check at a close.
Hmm.
Did you know?
The things that we don't know, that when you have friends with real benefits, this is the kind of friends with real benefits that you want, right? And for those of you that do not know, this is actually a part of my journey right now. I am in that home ownership journey. And believe it or not, I've been in this ownership journey for a couple of years, but it wasn't always the right time, right? You're
Right.
trying to make sure, as Monica mentioned, one, you're trying to educate yourself, you're listening to other people, who may be homeowners, but they're not in your same situation. So they may not be as current, but you definitely want to understand the market that you're in, but you want to make sure that you understand your financial circumstances and situations so that you can make the best choices based on when you're ready to purchase that home. And as Monica mentioned, you actually can purchase a home today, like in this
Uh-huh.
market today, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And and it does matter. A lot of times I hear people talk about, well, I'm just going to stay a renter. I call them generational renters because their parents rented, their grandparents rented, and so on and so forth. But that's how you start the growth of legacy creation for you
Mm,
and your descendants, right? Your offspring. Because think about this. So there is a wealth gap in America.
yeah.
Black and brown people net worth is on average $24,000, where Caucasian families net worth on average is $180,000. Do you see that gap?
Mm,
24,000 versus 180,000. That's crazy.
yeah.
So that gap, think about this. 30% of the wealth in America is held in houses, in the equity in a house. So if 30% of that gap is in the equity that they have in their homes, where we're going around being generational renters, there
Yeah.
is a missing link there.
Hmm.
It's a missing link. And what
That's,
we need to do is we need to become intentional
yeah.
about filling that gap
Hmm.
and understanding what that missing link is in our own life. And everybody is different, right? Maybe
Hmm.
it's not the right time, but you have to get your mindset that even if it's not the right time right now,
Yeah.
when the time comes, and I'm going to be intentional about creating that time, making sure that I am focused on that journey and what that looks like so that I can, 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, next year,
Hmm.
whatever that timeline looks like for you, making sure that you're intentional about that being your desire and your goal to go ahead and become a homeowner. There's
Yeah.
nothing like it.
For sure. Monica, what we talked about earlier, as a matter of fact, we need to tell people who we are.
Yes,
Let people know who we are. Actually, Monica and I are teammates, right, in finance. And,
yeah.
we are both financial professionals. I am a financial wellness and birth coach and pride myself on really lining up with people so that we can really educate them to make better financial choices. And so I live by, this is not just something that I say happenstance. But we also talk about a tool, and I'm gonna let Monica introduce herself and we can dive into that tool that we have, because it's something that really can help you get in the right mindset as you're
Right.
getting ready for home ownership, or even possibly going into buying your second or third home as an investor, right, Monica?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm Monica Love. I am a real estate broker and financial professional. I have an agency here in the state of Michigan, and I build this agency by helping other people know how to become financial professionals, knowing how to become real estate agents, and to Rosalind's last point is knowing how to become real estate investors, because not everybody's going to get a license and become a real estate agent or a realtor or professional by license, but
Mhm.
you can become an investor in whatever state you are in. If in real estate, but you have to know the game, you have to know the terminology, you have to know how to get it done. Because if you go out here and don't know what an equity is, or if you go out here and you don't know what uh, uh, a capex is, then you're
Mhm.
gonna be looking kind of crazy when people call you on the carpet about it because you're trying to buy a property. And that's what I do. I help people get educated when it comes to real estate and financial services.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that is really important. And so, we talked about earlier that she and I are co-authors of a book called Design Your Wealth Mindset. And, while that's not first and foremost, I think it's also important for you to get educated, right? Oftentimes people don't move forward in whatever it is, right? Right. Owning a home and purchasing a home is a big deal. We're
It
not
is.
here to say it's not a big deal, but we're also saying there are sources out there that don't want you to dive into to be a part of breaking that wealth gap, and
Yeah.
times what I've heard is home ownership is one way that you can really break some of those generational curses and cycles of being a renter, because guess
Yeah.
what, if you're not creating generational wealth for your family, then guess the person who you're paying rent to is. Hello.
Yeah, there is a very wealthy, very well-known person who I came across. I had seen him online already, but I came across him in a clubhouse room. And this room was filled with black and brown people, maybe a couple 300 people were in this room. And this man, very wealthy businessman who makes his money from renting properties to other people. Um, Nugget here: 49% of Americans are renters. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna leave that right there. But
Wow.
he makes his money from renting to other people. And he's in this room with 300 black and brown people. And he says, don't go buy a property to live in. Don't go buy a home. You need to rent. The market is just not right. And I thought that I was hearing things, but that's what he said. And the other day I was listening to Steve Harvey, and he
Yeah.
must have heard the same thing, or maybe he said it in a different room at a different time, because Steve said, this particular person, he called the guy's name. He said, I'm hearing him in rooms where there are lots and lots of black people, and he's telling them not to go and buy property, not to go and buy a home. He said, and he wants to rent to you. That's why he's telling you not to go and buy home. And I was like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
because what we have to realize is just because people have, a whole bunch of money doesn't mean that they're looking out for your benefit. They're looking out for their own benefit.
Exactly.
9 out of 10 times, there are those who will look out for you too, but
Yeah.
not at the expense of themselves. If there are 49% of Americans who are renters, if you take 20% of those renters and have them go and buy homes, now you got, instead of having a 90% occupancy at your apartment complex or your rental facility, now you have a 70% occupancy. Now you
Yeah.
have a 40% occupancy at those different sites and different locations. That matters when
Yeah.
you're looking at your own bottom line. That's why you'd rather for me to rent than to go and purchase a property.
For sure.
I'm
Let me
just
ask you
saying.
a question. I mean, it's just it's wild to me how, well, I just want us to think, right? Use, use the brain that you have to think through what this means for you and your family, right? So just take a step back for a minute and be like, okay, if I am someone in average, right, and I'm in Atlanta metropolitan area, we already know they said that Atlanta metropolitan area's rent was number one highest rents in the entire country, right? Because of people that Monica just mentioned, because him and his buddies have bought up a whole bunch of properties so
Yeah.
that you can make sure that you pay that rent every month at the
Yeah.
same time by what, the third or the fifth of the month or whatever it is,
Right.
so that him and his buddies can continue to play golf and go to Fiji and whatever they do. But why not that be you, right?
Right.
Want to make sure that when you know it is time to buy a house, but you also want to make sure that you're clear on why you want to purchase a house, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, like in my family, again, my parents, they bought a home from New Jersey originally. They bought a home, and we grew up in that home. They had one house all their lives. They eventually paid it off, you know what I mean, and were able
Hmm.
to retire. And in retirement, they actually, had funds to be able to buy another home. I doubt, at this stage they'll be buying a third home, but I think sometimes we don't understand the reasons behind purchasing a home, and people have different reasons, right?
Hmm.
Yes, I do believe in making sure that that we dive into eliminating that wealth gap. That's one. But sometimes you do go into it for investment reasons. Sometimes you do
Hmm.
go in it so that you know how to kind of take advantage of that equity. We don't really talk about that enough, Monica.
Right.
Can you maybe touch on some of the reasons why would people want to buy a home?
Oh my gosh, there's so many reasons, and this is my passion right here, right?
Uh-huh. Yes.
So there's so many reasons why people should want to go and buy a home. We can't get into all of them on this short segment, but I will talk about equity real quick. So just round numbers I like working with round numbers. So just think about it for a second. If you are renting a place and you are paying, I don't know, $1,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
that $1,000 a month times 12 months, that's $12,000 that you're paying on that property every month. And you
Mm-hmm.
say, yeah, but if I rent, something goes wrong, the toilet breaks, I'm not the one that's got to fix it. I got to call Joe Blow down the street and let him fix it for me. You're right. You absolutely right. Because Joe Blow owns the joint, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? That $12,000 that you paid for the year, even if he has a mortgage on that property, it's not going to cost him 12,000 or $1,000 a month to pay whatever debt he has on the property. So just for round numbers, say he's paying 500 on the debt. Now he's got 500 left over. Now he's got $6,000 during the year that he can. A toilet ain't gonna cost him $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
Let him fix the toilet for $50 or $100. He doesn't mind because he's still making $6,000. Take away the 50 that he just spent on the toilet. So what? He's making 5,500.
Mm-hmm.
So and now just take it for as a homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
I can purchase a property and pay $1,000 per month. That'll cover my taxes, insurance, and my note. Yeah. So depending on the purchase price of the property, that I usually use a rule of thumb of 1%. So if I'm paying $1,000 a month, then chances are the house that I just bought is about $100,000. That's just a rule of thumb. It's usually high. I'd rather be say that it's going to be high more than it actually is. If I tell you you're going to pay about $1,000 and you end up paying $795, you happy. So just say $1,000 that I'm paying every month. In 12 months, I will have paid my $1,000 to my mortgage company because I didn't pay cash for the house. Yeah. My toilet broke. I got to go and spend $50, $60, $100 on getting the toilet fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In a year, 2 years, the house that I purchased, the equity could have gone up on that house by 20%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and so let me use some real numbers for you. I purchased the property, and that property, I think it was $180,000. Today, that property is worth about 250.
Mm-hmm.
So that's $60,000, $70,000 that is equity in that property.
Mm-hmm.
So freaking what if I got to spend $100 on a toilet?
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have that $50,000, $60,000 that I can go and grab and buy another property or do whatever it is that I need to do with that property, rather than having to call Joe Blow to come and fix my toilet, and I'm still paying him, and he's racking up the 50, 60,000 in equity, and I have nothing that I'm building up. Again, 30%
Yeah.
of the wealth in America is in property.
Yeah.
It
So
matters.
let's break that down a little bit because I think simply we want to speak in peopleese.
Uh-huh.
That equity that you said is built up, right? You can actually take the equity out. Am I saying that right? Out of the
Yes,
home
ma'am.
that
Hmm.
you own and use it for something else. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yep. So you could do what's called, you could, there's many different ways you could do that. You could refinance your property, which I really don't advocate for refinancing, because when you refinance, what it is that you start the loan process all over again. So if you have a 30-year mortgage and you stay in the house for 10 years, you do a refinance. Now you're starting over. So those 10 years are gone, even though you got now $20,000, $30,000 in your pocket. You know, sometimes, some instances, there are good reasons to do a refi. But if there is no real good reason, just don't do a refi. Do a HELOC. A HELOC is a home equity line of credit. So what that is where they take the equity, they assess the when I say they, I mean the bank. They assess the equity that's in your home. And if you've got $50,000 in equity, they'll put it into an account for you where you can go and draw off of that account and do whatever, go invest it somewhere, whatever it is that you want to do with that
Mhm.
$50,000 that's in your HELOC that
Mhm.
you've put into that account so that you can now invest it in other places.
Gotcha. You can
Yeah,
also, I think, use it to renovate your home. So if you want it,
absolutely.
kind of like that
Absolutely.
new kitchen that you wanted, you say if you moved into a home and it wasn't necessarily up to your standards, and eventually you want to do some renovations, I believe
Hmm.
you probably use it for that too. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely. So there are, everybody has a different thing and different reason for everything, right? If you're getting an FHA mortgage on your home, excuse me, there is a loan called a 203K. And what
mhm,
that is that's a loan that will allow you to do some renovations in a property that you purchase, and the bank will give you that money for those renovations.
mhm,
So, a 203K, if you're doing an FHA, if you're doing a standard conventional mortgage, then you might want to do a HELOC or something like that to get the property fixed. Now, here's my business savvy coming out.
mhm,
If you're purchasing a home that needs work, I want you to assess it as if you were assessing an investment property. Here's what I mean. If the property is being sold for $100 or $100,000, and say the value of that property is $150,000, say the work that needs to be done on that property is $10,000, you got a good deal, because you could take that $10,000 out of the property and put it back into the property. If it was worth 150 in the condition that it was in, when you put that 10K back into the property, that 150 is undoubtedly going to take the property value up to, I don't know, 170, 180, something like that. It's going to increase the value probably twice as much as the cost that you put into the property. So it's going to be a benefit for you, right? If at all possible, buy a two, three, four family flat.
mhm,
There are different loans out here that will allow you to purchase a four family flat. You
mhm.
live in one property, allow the other folks to live in one unit, allow other people to live in the other units, and let them pay your mortgage. That's the best kind of mortgage you can get, is when other people are paying it for you, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go too deep, Monica. I think we gave them enough, bang for for their buck today, which was no cost but clicking on the link. And so, if you all are watching this in the replay, make sure that you add, your comments and things like that. Like, we would love to connect with you if you want some additional information. Monica is a real estate extraordinaire, and she's helping me through my journey as well, right? When I go to those people looking for, all the things that you need, for purchasing a home, right? There are things that I had to do, and I knew, right? I read about them, but it's nothing like when you're actually in that process and you got to go
Mhm.
and get an inspector, right? You want to make sure that home is inspected. I'm looking to get an older home, and so that was previously renovated, and guess what, Monica, it did appraise for
Ooh,
about $10,000 more than the cost.
good.
So I'm going into it with equity, and that's what I wanted, right? I
I
wanted
love
equity
that.
that built in. It's also in a neighborhood that I strategically chose because it's in kind of an up and coming. It's not there yet because some people be
Mhm.
afraid. They be like, "Well, where that apartment complex? Where that?" But I did my due diligence and I looked to see, let me go into an area. And then I also looked at other homes in the area to see how much they were going for, right? It's older homes, brick style, solid framed
Mhm.
homes. And I'm looking at some of them homes are like $500,000. I didn't get mine for that. But so what it says was we on the come up.
Yeah, yeah. So once you get in there, because when you buy a property that's in an area that is up and coming, you get it
Mhm.
at the lower rate. Well, shoot, you buy an equity in the property, and then once you do, if you put a little work into it, and I heard you say it's an older home. I love older homes because they have so much character, you know?
Yes. Yes. It's so cute. I can't wait. You know what I mean? So I am actually going to celebrate with you guys once I get that news. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just give people a little bit. But what I am going to do, you know what I mean? And Monica's away in Michigan now. She does come to Atlanta occasionally, but I am going to go live once everything is solid so that I can show
Okay,
y'all my cute little space. And
okay, I can't wait. I'm looking
yeah,
forward to it.
I think what happens is, again, I want to encourage other people to also do the same thing. It doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter if you think you've missed out on opportunities. There's no better time like the present to
Right.
become a homeowner. And I'm excited, y'all. I am excited on this journey and I'm learning. Right. I am learning as well. And I want to be able to bring you guys along so that y'all can do the same thing, but with intention. Cause you know what I mean? Like I
Right.
said, Monica know what she talk about. And I call her and be like, girl, what about this? What about that? And she ask them this. And when I go to my mortgage broker and I go to, I'm looking for homeowners insurance and I'm looking like at these rates, they throwing all these numbers out at you. You got to sign all these documents. And I'm a reader. So I ain't just signing stuff. So y'all can imagine me as a scientist reading all this documentation. And these people be asking me,
Right.
get your email. I did, but I'm reading it. I'm reading it because I have to be the one responsible for paying this mortgage, nobody else, you know. So I want to be in the know at all times and making informed choices and informed decisions. And that's what we do here. Again, Rosalind Marie, mindfully obsessed. Thank you guys for joining me, even in the replay. If you have questions, definitely put your questions in the chat and make sure that you go get our book, Design Your Wealth Mindset. We are on Amazon and it can help you in this journey if you on
Yeah.
that journey to buy a home. And you could be the one we celebrating next because I want to celebrate you as well. Monica,
Okay.
you got anything else?
And Rosalind, let's drop
Yeah.
the link where they could get the book digitally too.
Okay.
If they don't want to go out to Amazon, they can buy it digitally directly from us, where they could start reading that puppy today.
Let's do it for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I will do that. All right. Y'all have an amazing day. Thanks for joining us. And, get in the game of home ownership today.
Okay, today.
Ah,
It might not be your time today, but at least get it in the mind today.
Shift that mindset, right?
Yep.
All right. Take care, y'all.